When you're building for mobile, it's really important to understand the viewport. On desktops, this is a no-brainer. There's one viewport. It's the one you can see. On mobiles, though, it's a little bit more complicated. To ensure that you are able to render regular websites designed for full-size screens, they implement two viewports, the one you see, which is small, and a virtual one that is large, usually greater than 800 pixels, that they use to lay out the site. The obvious advantage is that we can view websites without any extra work. As far as the site is concerned, they're being rendered on a relatively normal sized screen. The problem is when you try to position things. Which viewport do you use? If you've designed a website for a regular browser, you would hope that it's the layout viewport. But we're designing specifically for smaller screens. Unfortunately, we miss out, and as a result, there are things like fixed footers which are almost impossible. It turns out that it's possible to tell the browser that the two viewports should be the same. This will mean that when the page is rendered, it should be at the size we've asked for, rather than the size that best fits. This is one of the things that all of your mobile sites should have. It's basically a meta tag that you insert into the head of your web page. The name attribute is viewport, and the content should be width equals device width. This will tell it that the viewport should always be the width of the device's screen. While we're on the topic of meta tags, there's actually a whole bunch of them that you can use in the same way. There's the height meta tag, which unsurprisingly sets the height of the viewport in pixels. As with the width attribute, we can set it to the height of the screen using device height. Initial scale, this is the initial scale of the viewport, in other words the zoom level. This usually defaults to whatever value will fit the entire width of the page on the screen. Minimum scale, this sets the smallest scale the user can resize the viewport to. On iOS, the default for this is 0.25, but the value can be set from anywhere between 0 and 10. Maximum scale, funnily enough, this lets us set the maximum scale zoom level the user can resize the viewport to. On iOS, the default for this is 1.6, but the value can be set again anywhere between 0 and 10. And finally, user scalable. This defines whether we want to let our users resize the viewport. That is, can they zoom in or zoom out? The default is yes, but for our apps, we'll want to disable this, so we should set the value to no.